And we welcome you once again to www.theupliftlive.com. I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you once again for being with us here on a Saturday morning. Well, once again, it's a Saturday morning right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you're listening to www.theupliftlive.com. And get on the phone and tell somebody that the talk show here is indeed on the air. And once again, we want to welcome you to www.theupliftlive.com, an online gospel radio station. And of course, we have been nominated for the Internet Gospel Radio Station of the Year. And coming up a little bit later on, we're going to tell you exactly what you can do to try to help us get that particular selection. The Avidity Awards, we are so thankful that they have nominated us this year. And we're looking forward to telling you how you can vote and make sure that we are part of that process. And also, we're working out some technical difficulties this morning. Perhaps I've got a couple of my tablets up and working here, and we're going to see if we can get them on and running. Well, once again, we did have a big election day this past week here, and we hope and pray that many of you got out and had a chance to get out there and vote. Because after all,
voting is indeed the main thing that's going to keep us going here.
All right, well, once again, let's say we're going to work out these technical difficulties and get everything worked out here this morning. I got a couple of tablets, and I hope I didn't destroy one of my main tablets.
A major fall this week, so we may have to go to our backup that we have actually here with us at this time. But once again, Robert Ashley with you here on a Saturday morning, and we're coming to you live from Ashley Estates. Now, joining us a little bit later on, we're hoping to talk with Skylar Walker. Skylar Walker is out of Houston, Texas, and we understand that Skylar has been working along with some of our NAACP officials right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth community, and we're going to look forward to talking with them and having some great information. Now, also here on the review, each and every Saturday morning, we review the top news stories of the week. And boy, it's been a very eventful week. Now, here in the state of Texas, we are watching a lot of activity take place down on the border, if you will. A lot of people coming into the country, and well over 30,000 were already here. They're already here, and we're just going to have to try to make sure that we can do the best we can in terms of welcoming a lot of people. These are human beings. Now, whether they're going to come in and vote Republican or vote Democrat, that may not be the main concern right now, but the concern is these are human beings. And this whole immigration issue here in the state of Texas, it's been a really big issue. Now, also, once again, we did have elections, got a big runoff election that's coming up in City Council District 3 here in Dallas, Texas. I believe a pastor, an associate pastor over at Concord, the Reverend Zarin Gracie, is going to be challenging a former educator by the name of Joe Tave in District 3. Now, District 3 at one time was represented by Casey Thomas. And we want to say good morning to Casey Thomas, longtime City Council member there, former president of the Dallas chapter of the NAACP. Casey just happened to term out. He actually cannot run for re-election, so it's going to be the Reverend Zarin Gracie, or it's going to be Joe Tave. Now, in terms of the tally of the vote, the tally of the vote, Reverend Gracie got about 46% of the vote, and let's see here, Joe Tave had 25% of the vote. That was another big election that we were watching over in Tarrant County involving District 5, where the incumbent Gina Bivens, a longtime city council person there, we worked with Gina, known Gina, former radio personality back during the day during KKDA. And of course, we also understand she was in television down in San Antonio, Texas. And at one time worked as, I believe, an administrative assistant or maybe a media representative for one of the San Antonio mayors down through the years. But Gina won re-election in District 5. The Reverend McKinley Jackson Jr., the son of the former city council member, was actually running for that race, but Gina Bivens actually won it outright. Now, also, there was another race that we were watching in District 6, the Dallas School Board race. And we want to continue to acknowledge Joyce Foreman, our longtime school board member. She actually won re-election there as well. And of course, Carol King Arnold in District 4, the mayor pro tem, if you will, won re-election. And we were watching those races in Dallas and in Fort Worth. Now, for those of you in DeSoto City, Cedar Hill, I believe the outskirts cities, we continue to acknowledge you as well. We thank everybody for getting out there and voting. But once again, you're watching the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com. I'm Reverend Ashley with you here on a Saturday morning, and we thank you so very much for being with us. And of course, once again, we're working with some technical situations here. Hopefully, we're coming through and everything is indeed okay. Now, coming up once again a little bit later on, we're scheduled to talk with Skylar Walker. Now, Skylar, from what we understand, is a little bit under the weather, as she's going to be joining us. There's my good friend Arthur Fleming, who, of course, is one of the top NAACP officials, and Arthur's going to be joining us. He's with us right now. And Arthur, also Skylar, is going to be trying to get in with us a little bit later on as well. And I did hear from Skylar this morning. She's not feeling too well, but I think she's going to feel well enough to join us here. But good morning to you, Arthur. How are you this Saturday morning, sir?
How you doing there, Robert? And hello to your audience. How's everybody? Congratulations on your nomination for that award. So be sure to let me know what to do so I can vote for you.
All right, we got to give out some information a little bit later on, but once again, www.The Live has been nominated by the Avidity Awards. We want to shout out to all the folks over there at the Avidity Awards. Great people here. We've been nominated as an internet radio station of the year. But Arthur, what's going on? How you doing this Saturday morning, man? It's been a very eventful week here, and tell us a little bit about Skylar. She's supposed to be trying to check in with us. We got some people working with us, some of our officials there at the Uplift Live. But what's going on, Arthur, in terms of diversity?
Oh, okay. Just get straight. Her name is Skylar Walks.
Skylar Walks. Okay, Skylar Walks.
Yeah, Skylar Walks. Okay, and basically, I'm just going just like because I don't want to mess it up. Anyway, she's chair of the Texas Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education. It's called TADDOHE. And what they're doing, they're presenting their third annual summit at Tarleton State University in Fort Worth, Texas. TADDOHE, I guess that would be TADOHE, believes that prioritizing physical, mental, and emotional health is key as we continue to pursue our roles in higher education and community organizing. As a result, we hope to bring together diversity, equity, and inclusion advocates in hopes to continue to build community through wellness. We invite you to register for our event Monday, May 22nd, and Tuesday, May 23rd, gather for this important event. You can find the agenda on our website, and so I'm sure she'll get that when she come on.
Very good. Now, is this the very thing that Governor Greg Abbott has been blatantly opposing? Oh my goodness. I think Arthur just dropped that there. We'll see if we can get him back in. But once again, Arthur Fleming there, one of the officials with the NAACP. And once again, Skylar Walks is expected to join us. Once again, we're talking here about diversity within our higher education system, dealing with equity. Now, these have been some of the real controversial issues here in the state of Texas, where the Republicans and Governor Abbott has seemingly, mounted the forces to go against diversity. Equity. Now, see, at one time, the pursuit was for equality, but see, now it's moved from equality to equity. We need to understand exactly what that is. Now, also, this whole thing about diversity, this is really controversial, because when you talk about diversity, you're talking about African Americans, you're talking about Latinos, Asians, liberal, so-called progressive whites, and that's where the LGBTQ plus agenda comes in, where you have the LGBT, the transgender crowd, and that's all encompassed in diversity. And that's really controversial, because in the Black community, as much as we talk to people in the Black community, there's a lot of controversy within the Black community. Now, some people in the Black community says, yes, we want diversity. Yes, we want equity. But do we want the agenda of the LGBT plus community associated with the Black community? See, that's a very controversial situation there, and they've all been bundled together. That's the coalition. That's the Rainbow Coalition that the Reverend Jesse Jackson has talked about down through the years. Now, see, there's even controversy about the rainbow. I've run into a pastor out of North Carolina. I think his name is Pastor Wooten. And I saw him one time on YouTube preaching a sermon about the Christian rainbow, accusing the LGBTQ community of stealing, allegedly, the Christian rainbow flag, saying that in the Bible, I think it's the book of Genesis and the book of Revelation, where there are several references to God and the rainbow. Now, whether or not the Reverend Jesse Jackson or the LGBT community actually stole that from the body of Christ, we just don't know. But I don't know. That's all the country. All right, the author is back with me at this time. I see him laughing over there. Now, author,
Yeah.
come on back into the conversation, man. And this whole thing, and we're going to talk also about the Marine up in New York, who has been charged in connection with choking out the young man, the former Michael Jackson impersonator. Got several other stories. Of course, President Trump was on CNN this past week, and a lot of people are upset with CNN for even allowing the former president to be on during a town hall discussion. But Arthur, coming on back into the conversation now, this whole thing about diversity.
Right.
Now, how do we get the Black community to realize that just because diversity includes the LGBTQ agenda and other agendas of the coalition, that it may or may not be an affront to the Black community's moral standings?
Well, first of all, you need to understand what diversity means. It means inclusion into the American system, period. Now while this is my opinion, when you hear people saying, well, LGBTQ, look here, they have lumped us all into one bag. Okay.
That's what I know. Yeah.
So they can say, so if they get you to be against LGBTQ or whatever, then they actually, because the thing is aimed at you. And so basically, if they can get you to do that, then you're going to be voting against your own interests. Yeah. Again, this is the program. This is what's, continues to happen. And we need to understand that America, we are the symbols of freedom in America. Nobody has any more freedom than the lowest Black person. That's why every time we get something, everybody else get it. The reason they get it because they didn't have it before we got it. So they understand. So, and that includes diversity to this fascist system that we have, to this governor and his folks. What that means to them is that means inclusion of everybody else. With they don't want anybody included with white people. It's about white people control. We got the fascists over in Highland Park here in Dallas, a Crow, right? What an appropriate name, Crow. His name should be Jim. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's Clarence Thomas, money man, isn't it? That's the money bag man, huh?
Yeah. The bag man gave him Frederick Douglass's Bible.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, so I think the spirit of Frederick Douglass is in there working on both of them. Crow, so I got to get Fred out of my house because I got my Nazi stuff in here, so I got to get rid of Fred.
No, I wonder how did Harlan Crow get Frederick Douglass's Bible? That is powerful. That's interesting. Author, my goodness.
Well, he's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
You got to understand that. See, in America, it works like this. If I can get $1 billion, and that means I'm brilliant. That means I'm smarter than everybody else. That don't mean the system is rigged and I got the hookup. That means I'm just smarter than you. And we know that's not true. Again, the fascist system, the fascist folks here in Texas and other places, they want to create an oligarchy like they had in South Africa. In other words, roll all the money to the top, and then no matter how you vote, it don't make no difference. That's what they want, and that's how you you buy the court the way they've done. That you capture the court, and I would say, you've even to an extent you captured our civil rights organizations.
Oh my goodness! Well, now see you're really talking some controversy right now, because we have heard that here in the state of Texas, some of the billionaires, some of these conservative billionaires, may have been appointing Black civil rights leaders to college boards, and whenever we see multi-billionaires hanging out with civil rights leaders, then there's concern about whether or not they're using their money to compromise these civil rights leaders. Is there a concern, Arthur?
Well, it's called dark money for a reason.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm saying, that means that you don't know, they give it to people. We don't know that they've given it to them. There's no way you can trace that they. Now they're figuring it out now, but there's really, it's really hard to trace. So, again, like say, you can get political favors and all types of stuff within that system. So they may not give you money directly, but they may give you a position where you can make money. And
Mhm.
so, and that's the system that we're actually dealing with. So, and again, I'm glad that, what they're doing. I'm glad that, there is a God and that the Supreme Court is being exposed for, what they are, which we already knew. Like Harlan Crow now, and that guy that's leading the whole thing. They the one that put the structure in place for Shelby B. Uh, 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 for Shelby, the voting rights
Mhm.
plan that got rid of our protection.
Yes,
So
sir.
this
Yes,
is an
sir.
organized. This is an organized program, and so like you said, and I be writing about it in my article. But basically, when you have these people associating with civil rights organizations, Supreme Court, with all that money, hey, I mean, and then when I see the lack of urgency on our civil rights organizations' part, I don't see a collective coming together to address the current threat. So I have to wonder why that's not happening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, once again, if you're just now joining us, if you're just now tuning in, my name's Robert Ashley, and you're watching The Review, right here on a Christian 24-hour gospel radio station. It's called www.theupliftlive.com. We do have a phone line if you care to call in, talk about some of the issues here, 214-239-2898. That's 214-239-2898. My guest right now is Mr. Arthur Fleming, one of the top officials with the NAACP, and he's here telling us about a big diversity equity workshop and conference that's coming up at one of our colleges and universities here. You're being encouraged to get involved and be a part of the whole movement with regards to equity. And of course, Arthur's going to help us understand the whole concern about diversity. He's kind of highlighted that as well. Now, I've heard from some of the people in the church who say, well, Brother Ashley, I'm all for equity and inclusion, but I'm just not down for Sodom and Gomorrah and all that kind of thing. They've come and have even accused me of compromising and not wanting to ask serious questions here about these type of issues. Now, also coming up a little bit later on, we're going to focus on May being Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're also going to talk about some of the issues of the day. And who knows, that may be Skylar calling you there, man, trying to see if we can work some stuff out to try to get her in. But Arthur Fleming is with us once again. And Arthur, if you could go over that information one more time about the conference.
What about? Let me just say something about the
Yes.
again, what you was talking about the diversity issue. Look here, to my people, I want to say this to you. Look, we can't at this moment we can't afford to cherry pick what we like and we don't like in the current system. The system it's not set up for you to cherry pick. The way they have it right now, they put everything in one ball, and that's the way it's rolling. And so if you say, well, I don't like that in the ball, so I don't like the ball, the rest of your stuff is in the ball. And so I'm telling you, if they can get you, if they can divide, and it's called divide and conquer strategy. So if they can get you wrapped up in the culture issues while they steal all your money, while they steal your kids' future, okay, you'll have that issue, but your kids won't have no future. And so I'm saying, okay, like I saw this morning where they're trying to, Democrats fighting against them trying to put chaplains, replace counselors with chaplains, with Christian nationalist chaplains. I mean, so they want to put racists they want to put racist preachers. So if you folks that don't want prayer in school, okay, they're going to give you a racist prayer leader and put him over your kid. And so if you think that's cool, well, I'm telling you, I don't think it's cool. So I think we need to, back up.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, now, what's the difference between a Christian and a Christian nationalist?
A Christian nationalist is a KKK now without the hood. Okay, that's what a Christian nationalist is. KKK without the hood. They say they Christians, right?
Yeah.
So that's what that is. It's just the basic racist Christian person that don't believe black folks are human. Okay, so why you want them to pray for you? They don't think you human. So I'm telling you now, all Christians ain't Christians. So just
Yes,
because
sir.
folks say they Christians, don't mean they're Christians. So let's don't be that gullible, And the thing, oh, okay, well he's a Christian. Okay, yeah, right.
But what if they came to the body of Christ? To take for example, Bishop T.D. Jakes has that Tory program where they graduate people out of prison. They work with them all the way through, get them jobs and everything like that. How do the black Christians know? I mean, if it's a Christian thing, how do you know who's racist and who's not? Or do you base it upon race?
You should base it upon facts. You should base it upon history. You should base look. This system this system has never been not in place. So if it's been the same forever and you can't remember where they ever changed it, then they come to you and say, okay, I'm a Christian nationalist. You supposed to say, okay, it's 2023. You're okay. No, it's the same people. Nothing ever
Well,
changed from before. You know what I mean? So, they don't wear the hood. They're not calling you yeah, they about to call you the N-word here in a minute.
that N-word thing is that N-word is just being flown around in school everywhere, all over the place.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm trying. So all this. So for anybody want to stop and say, well, I'm not for LGBTQ, but they still in your right to vote. Right. Well, why you doing that? They still in your right to vote. They sit in
Well,
your
see,
right to exist, and they sit in your kids' futures. And I'm just saying, our
yes, sir.
kids deserve better than that. They deserve us to fight. They deserve to see us fighting for them. And I don't see enough folks fighting for our kids.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, once again, we're talking here with Arthur Fleming, one of our top NAACP officials, and I think he's getting ready to possibly offer himself up for maybe a state NAACP leadership position if he wants to get in there and talk about this morning. And once again, we did have some city council elections. We do have one runoff election. Arthur, you were at some of those political forums that we hosted in Dallas, Texas. We've got a runoff between the Reverend Zarin Gracie, who's one of the associate pastors over at Concord, and the one and only Joe Tave. They're in a big runoff. I think it's coming up June 10th.
Okay.
Joyce Foreman easily won her reelection over the challenger she had in District 6. and in Fort Worth, Gina Bivens defeated all of her opponents there. And let's see. I think those were some of the big races that we were watching there. But now, once again, we're talking about diversity and, of course, equity, big conference coming. What's that university where it's coming up again?
Tarleton State. Tarleton State. The schedule and it'll be posted. You can go to my Civil Rights Today page. You can go to my Arthur Clinton Fleming page, and I have the actual schedule posted. But basically, it'll be an event that Monday afternoon, evening. But the main event will start Saturday at 8 o'clock. And so basically we'll have different speakers. Gary Bledsoe, NAACP, he'll be one of the presenters at the event. And so basically, and it's basically going to be talking about, protecting our teachers. They're using diversity to get Black folks out of the schools. They're using, they're using that issue to kick folks out of companies and so forth and so on. So they weaponize the word diversity. Diversity means Black folks. That's what it means. It means Black.
Whatever happened to affirmative action? Did affirmative action not do its job?
White women got it.
Okay.
White women took over. You remember they changed. You remember they changed it and they added white women into it, and then so they, of course, they sleeping with the enemy, and so they basically just diverted the whole system away from Black people to white women. And that's why you hear people say, and that's why I tell people, Black folks, don't be using the word minority. When you say minority, you've taken yourself completely out of the whole thing. Okay, minority? No, I'm not a minority. I'm an African American, and that's what the system was set up for. But it was diverted into minority. And once they changed it to minority, then white women got in it. And then white women took it over. And so that's it. And back when you see the businesses, white men, they just shifted the business over to their white and kept it moving.
Well, because I remember when the white women were able to get contracts, the General Contractors Association, and Black folks were livid. But then again, the National Organization for Women all these women wearing these pink hats, protesting at President Trump's inauguration, and now you don't hear not one thing from them on anything. I mean, the National Organization for Women, these women have just laid down and let these men come into their dressing rooms, take over sports, and these women aren't saying anything. But at the same time, you're telling me now that these white women have undercut black folks, but yet that's part of the coalition.
But I mean, it's always been a thing. You know, when they did the original women's suffrage movement and so forth and so on. You know, black women, black women all up in it, and then when it came time, you know, to get the spoils, you know, they left black women out.
The daughters of Confederates said, "Get out of here."
Yeah,
the daughters of Confederates said, "Get out of here." So it just seems like we're getting played. It looked like we're getting played as a black community every way we go. But once again, if you're just now joining us, we're talking with Arthur Fleming, one of our top civil rights leaders here in our Dallas-Fort Worth community. You're watching The Review. I'm Robert Ashley. Now, Arthur, also, look at the border. What's going on with that border, and how does all these people coming in here impact the black community? Because it seems like, I hate to say this, but I've seen congressional districts, I've seen state representative districts go from black to brown based upon immigration, and we are losing seats, but nobody says anything because it's about the coalition.
Well, what I'm gonna say is, first of all, again, you know, I think they do need to do something about the border, and I want black folks to understand. Look, I mean, I know you see all these brown. I know what you're talking about because they're protesting up in Chicago, you know about that. But understand that these are not voters. These are not voters. Okay, yeah, a lot of them, but they're not voters. Okay, so we need to we need to separate that from voting. You know, we still have the ability to make things happen voting wise, and so we need to, you know, don't get now as far as the border, the Democrats and the Republicans, again, they play politics this thing for years. Remember, Ronald Reagan is the only president that ever gave amnesty.
Amnesty, I remember that. I clearly remember that.
Yeah, to illegal immigrants. So ever since then, ever since he did that back in the 80s, that's why they just been loading the queue ever since to do it again.
But what impact does it have on the black community? Because I can't get no elected official, nobody to talk about that. But when I ride around black communities like District 95 in Fort Worth, where Garfield Thompson used to be the representative, that place is completely Latino now.
Well, it has a big effect. Look what happened over in Grand Prairie. You know, when we had to go up, go over and because of the N-word, the kids over there doing that type of thing.
Yes,
cultural. There's a cultural attitudinal, and what's happening is these fascist folks that's operating this program now, you know, they coming in and doing what they always do with immigrants. When immigrants get here, and it's one of the reasons why I said they need to do something about this, because when they get here, they're not trying to be black, they want to be white when they get here. So that means that they're open for manipulation by the system. And if you want to be white in America, the first thing you got to do is hate black people.
Golly, Arthur, you go with that. Now, you remember the late Robert Starr, who used to be on I think Robert was on the national board of the NAACP out of Fort Worth, Texas. I remember having him and one of the LULAC presidents on Heaven 97 years ago when the NAACP and LULAC formed this coalition. But years later, before Robert died, he says, man, that was one of the biggest mistakes we ever made, making a coalition with LULAC, because when they got to the table of negotiation, they left the black community and went with white folks.
Well,
and left up at the table, and we got them to the table.
Well, the NAACP has, he's talking about the Memorandum of Understanding, which we came with, and basically was based upon the mutual respect principle, where we weren't going to allow white people to have us divided against each other. Well, roll it forward. So what actually did happen? Well, what happened was, while we were running around hollering coalition,
right?
They was running around, playing both sides against the middle, and so that's what we have now. We don't have a true coalition with Hispanic. The guy that did the shooting up in up in Allen,
Texas,
right? Hispanic. Okay, so the white race, they going, well, he can't be he can't be with us because he's Hispanic. Yeah, he can, because y'all gave him white is a status. White's a status. That's what that is. Okay, so y'all gave him the status, and so that's why he could do that. And again, for him to earn his status, that's what he did. So Ricky Acario, you're one of those, the Proud Boy guy, Hispanic. The other guy, the other guy with the patch over his eye, his mama was Hispanic. Fuentes, that the other racist guy be around on doing his show, Hispanic. So
Well, do you remember? Do you remember the controversy in Dallas, Texas? We're going to get ready to take a break real quick. A couple of years ago, there were they were talking about promotions within the Dallas Police Department, and there were a group of Hispanics who identified themselves as white Hispanics, and they were mad because they didn't get promotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I said, white Hispanics? What?
Yeah. Remember the Republicans under Trump? It had always been unofficial, because that's what they put on their birth certificate, white. But under Trump, they introduced on the census the category of white Hispanic. So they gave a place to actually lay their hat. So now, and that's about transitioning, giving them the status. And that's what I'm trying to tell you about status.
Okay, but Arthur, now if you had one drop of black blood in you, so you can have Latino blood in you and still be white.
Now remember, now it's a status. It's a status. You can be Clarence Thomas and be white.
All right, now see, you're making me lose it this morning. All right, well, once again, you're watching the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com. I'm Reverend Ashley. With me right now is the outspoken Arthur Fleming, one of the top NAACP officials right here in Dallas, Texas. And I think he's getting ready to run for a state position in terms of the NAACP. And once again, you're watching and listening to the review right here on the upliftlive.com. Tell a friend about this radio station. Now, each and every Saturday morning, we're on the air here, but 24/7, you can go to the app store or the Google Play and just download Uplifted Now. And also, we are also concerned about the fact that we have been nominated. And of course, this is what we want you to do. Now, family, look, we really need your vote. So please go to what we call the AvidityAwards.com. I'm going to spell that for you. That's the AvidityAwards.com. That's AVIDITY, AvidityAwards.com. There it is right there. And cast your vote for the Uplift. Now, of course, we're nominated for the Internet Radio Station of the Year. And the one and only Jermaine Simpson, nominated for the Internet Radio Announcer of the Year. So once again, go right now and vote for us. And voting will be open between now and June 30th. So once again, that's the Avidity. AVIDITY, AvidityAwards.com, and to cast your vote for the Uplift. And of course, we are so thankful to the Avidity Award folks there for even nominating us here. And once again, that's going to be coming up in New Orleans, October the 12th through the 15th. But once again, we're going to get ready to pause right now for just a quick break. Now, coming up a little bit later on, it is a Mother's Day weekend. Now, y'all know we got to acknowledge Mama, Big Mama, Lottie Dottie, and everybody. Once again, Arthur Fleming is with us at the NAACP, and several others will be joining us a little bit later on. I'm going to pause right now for just a quick break, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Hello.
Right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month. Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-811-8451. 800-811-8451. 800-811-8451. That's 800-811-8451.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. That's 800-239-0201.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Do you use pesticides in your job? Specifically Roundup. Roundup, made by Monsanto, contains a chemical called glyphosate, which has been linked to cancer. If you've used Roundup and you have cancer, you may be entitled to a cash award. Over $10 billion has been set aside to pay users of Roundup who've been diagnosed with cancer. Time is almost running out to file your claim. So if you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've used Roundup, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And time to file is almost gone, so please call right now.
800-901-9759. 800-901-9759. 800-901-9759. That's 800-901-9759.
Your source for your favorite gospel music. It's all right here on The Uplift.
Right here on The Uplift.
TheUpliftLive.com. I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you once again for being with us here on a Saturday morning right here at the
www.theupliftlive.com, a 24-hour gospel radio station, excuse me, right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's see, I'm trying to get my tablets all adjusted here and get the focus back on us here. And once again, we are thankful that you're with us here on a Saturday
morning. With me, of course, is Arthur Fleming of the
author about a lot of different issues here. And also Reverend Melvin Brown is expected to join us as well. And of course, possibly Reggie Ruffin, as we talk about a lot of the issues. Of course, going to be dealing with Mother's Day. And let's see here. Let me see if I can get on screen here. There we go. We're going to talk about Mother's Day and a lot of other things. But once again, we want to welcome you back. And Reggie Ruffin there, the Just Cause Coalition, is chiming in there as well. The Reverend Melvin Brown is also with us. And once again, Arthur Fleming of the NAACP. Reggie, Reverend Brown, good Saturday morning, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning. It's wonderful to see all.
Alrighty.
How you doing, Reverend? How you doing, Reverend?
I'm good.
Well, God bless you, gentlemen. Well, first of all, let's. We've been talking about quite a few issues here. We're going to get to Daniel Penny, that Marine up in New York, who's been charged in connection with the killing of Jordan Neely, the Michael Jackson impersonator. We've got situations taking place on the border. We've got President Biden, of course, doing a lot of things. We had former President Donald Trump, who was on CNN big town hall meeting this past week. A lot of people were really upset about that. But Arthur, coming back to you one more time, I just want to invite people to the Diversity and Inclusion Conference that's coming up.
Just one more time, real quick. Again, this is a summit of diversity professionals, and what they're going to be coming together to do is to defend against the attack against diversity in corporations, but mainly in education. Okay, again, Texas leads the nation in banning books. Texas, they're banning our books. And so we need to, our civil rights organizations and our political folks, they need to be more vocal, about that to educate the community. So this summit will be part of that. And again, it will be at Tarleton. It's sponsored by Tarleton State University, DEI Consultants. And it will be starts Monday, May 22nd. They'll have an evening program at 4:30. And then on Tuesday, starting at 8 o'clock, they'll have a continental breakfast, and then they'll start the plenary sessions and so forth and so on. But again, to address some of the issues that's going down at the state right now, and so this is what this will be about: organize and fight back against attack on diversity.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's broaden the conversation for a minute here. Let's go to the Reverend Melvin Brown. Now, Reverend Brown, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. We just had another mass shooting. This time it was here in the state of Texas, just right down the road from us in Allen, Texas, where we lost 8 people, children, families, and of course, a police officer who was there went in and took out the shooter, a Latino who supposedly was fascinated by white supremacy, which is very, very interesting. And Reverend Brown, starting with you, sir, with this being Mental Health Awareness Month, help us as we deal with the aftermath of another mass shooting, AR-15, and they say this guy had a lot of guns in his car, and we don't know if somebody's trying to shoot us into surrendering the Second Amendment, or whether or not people have just gone absolutely crazy, or whether or not these are Manchurian candidates who are being released from MK Ultra programs to assault the American people to shoot them into surrendering. Now, some say that's a conspiracy theory, but then again, I don't know how much research you all have done on these type of shootings, because they just seem to keep on happening, and we never know anything about these shooters. It's just a strange situation. Reverend Brown, what do you think?
Thank you again for having me today. Greetings to my brothers. And in real brief, I think that in light of the fact that May 2023 every year is a time that we celebrate mental health. My thought is when this situation keeps occurring over and over and over again, obviously people are missing something with regard to their aspirations and their hope for their own life. I think there's a link, as we've talked to before, about the spiritual dogma and perhaps evil. You can call it demons or whatever you want to call it, but when people start to act this way, it tells me that they have got off balance. I'm going to use the word equilibrium. Equilibrium is very similar to a person standing up, and either their weight is shifting them, or mentally they've lost conscious of what they're doing. So we talked about the 5 pillars last week and even the week before. I really do appreciate the insertion by the gentleman that brought it up about 4 pillars, but there's really 5. Well, it's God. Secondly, it's family. Thirdly, it's your education and your training that teaches you right from wrong. And fourthly, it's community. We're a community of people. With regard to our color, our ethnicity, whatever, we're still human beings. And the last thing is that in this particular season and time, the government, which we rely upon, whether that be police force or rely on the constituency of our voted elected officials, we need safety in the community. We need safety in the world. And for the equilibrium and the health and mental state of people, we've got to find a way to help them.
Yes, indeed. Well, Reggie Ruffin, coming to you, being a gun owner, and I don't know if Arthur owns a gun or not, but that's you're right. You'll have to tell anybody what you have or not, because you just never know. But Reggie, some of your thoughts when you heard about that shooting out there in Allen. I was really saddened to hear about it. I got a little angry about it. I said, why does this stuff keep on happening? Here's a Saturday afternoon.
Well,
perhaps
to put that in perspective, this is.
Okay. Did we lose Reggie? I think Reggie may have froze up there. Arthur, some of your thoughts about that shooting, man. While we get Reggie back in.
Reggie back? Okay, now.
All right, you got me now?
Yep. Yeah, he's back. Reggie's back now. Reggie.
Yeah, this is nothing more than political terrorism. Because these are not fanatics from the Middle East that's doing this. These are people in our community that seems to all of a sudden come up on a cache of weapons all out of the blue, and then next thing you know, they're hunting people down like it's a video game. And this, I believe that all this political terrorism is doing is taking away the attention from what's going on with Trump situation, this, that, and the third. Is keeping this in the forefront, just like the shooting down in Uvalde. You know, you had a kid who had nothing to gain, had no financial gains of any sorts. All of a sudden, he can come up on enough weapons to invade Russia, and goes in there and takes out the school, and then the rest of those sheep down there standing around in the hallway for over an hour, waiting to find out what they was going to do. And those children were sacrificed. You know, when you have children sitting up there on the phone crying and begging for their lives on 911, and the clowns are out there in the hallway playing with the sanitizer dispenser, this is nothing more than just homegrown political terrorism. And I believe a lot of this had to do in part with the little Trump tards that's running around here that are starting to get emboldened to try to attack their own nation, just like they did on January 6th. So I think all of these things are connected in that regard.
Okay, now, Arthur, do you think, I think at one time, didn't Bill Clinton and the Democrats ban AR-15s in this country at one time? Didn't we have AR-15s banned in America at one time?
They were banned, and we didn't have these mass shootings. But back to what Reggie was saying, look, these people, and I mean the white supremacists, the fascist element here in America, they're using the same techniques that Al-Qaeda used to radicalize these people. Okay, they're using the same techniques. Now, when 9/11 happened, we lost rights and everything because they was going after the supposed, terrorists, but they wasn't here, but they treated it like they were here. Now we have terrorists actually here, and they act like, oh, well, those are our friends. So I'm saying, but they're using the same techniques. They're going to video games where these folks are, where they're doing all the, and you've seen some of the games. And so they're getting their messages those platforms with those folks and radicalizing them. So that's what we have to understand. It's an organized effort. I would even suggest, I bet if they really check, I bet they'll find some dark monies up in it.
But do we need to do away with those AR-15s? Because I mean, there have been several rulings where the judges will say an AR-15 is a legal gun. It's not an M16. So do we ban the AR-15s? Reggie, I mean, Reverend Brown, you own an AR-15? What? I mean, come on. Is it the gun or is it the person?
Well, it's indeed. I do not own a gun as of today, but yeah, with keeping in mind my own personal safety, I went to gun training, and I will acquire a 9mm, but it won't be used for an assault. It will be used simply for my protection. Yeah, we need to ban AR-15s. And
all right, Reggie. Now, Reggie, Arthur, what you saying, Arthur?
You know how bad it done got when the Reverend got to go get a gun.
Come on, man. Everybody got to have a gun now. Well, the Deacons of Defense in Plaquemine, Louisiana, back in the day, man, they said, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition when the Klan was running up on them. But Reggie, what do we do about the AR-15? Do we ban it or what?
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You take away AR-15s, I mean, you can do the same amount of damage with a 9mm and 2 backup clips. I mean, it's not necessarily the gun, and it's just the fact. This is just the technique that they like to use. They're being overly dramatic about what they're doing, because you can kill 8 people, whether you have an AR-15, when you have a 32, or you can have a 357. That's not going to solve this entire problem. But the real problem is the fact that these people have this type of weaponry just to start off with, and it seems like it's always that they're buying these guns about a week or two before they carry out these misdeeds. And I think the one thing that probably needs to happen is you give them like a grace period from the time they purchase the gun, like they can get the gun this month and then get the ammunition the next month, or vice versa. There are always a remedy for all this. And yes, the having a website for a red flag alert, that's not that hard to do. But the problem is when you're dealing with zealots that don't want to do anything about it at all, and everybody just stand around pointing their fingers. That's where this whole issue becomes. It's just bogging down in the mud. But people are still dying out here.
All right, now also here in the state of Texas, also just this week, a Senate committee voted to raise the age from 18 to 21 here in the state of Texas. Arthur, go right ahead.
Well, let me say this before I answer that. Remember now, this is being played out in the context. Look at this stuff that has a plan to it. It's called a Turner Diaries. Okay, that's the racist guy that wrote race war and so forth. This is what this is about. This is about those folks want to create an atmosphere where we can have a race war. You had a young lady turn around the wrong driveway and got shot. You had a young man walk to a door.
But she was white though. She was white. She got killed too.
Exactly. No, that has nothing to do with race. White people kill white people. So I'm saying that
youngster got shot in the head. Thank God he still.
A young man walked to the door. He gets shot in the head. So what I'm saying is, they're creating an atmosphere of fear, and within the atmosphere of fear is where they do this other thing. And so while we're talking about, should we have AR-15s or not? The bottom line, we need to understand why these people want everybody to have an AR-15, or they want everybody armed. And why is that? They want teachers armed. And as a teacher, I'm not gonna go and get a job where I gotta carry a gun every day, and I'm a teacher. So that's crazy. Okay, so all I'm saying is that the atmosphere is what they want. They want the atmosphere of fear. They want everybody to have a gun. They want folks shooting at each other. Now, if they can work it where they can get, one group to shoot at the other one, now we got a good race war going. We actually have a race war going on right now on one side, and so we need to acknowledge that is the atmosphere that they have created.
Okay, now let's do this. Now let's go back to all of the guns. Now this is the weekend. We're going to have a lot of shootings probably tonight in Chicago. We may have a lot of them tonight in Dallas, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, anywhere you look at it. And this black on black. Now the kind of shootings and killings that go on in the black community every week, we don't have that in the white community. You don't have that as much in the Latino community. Reggie, what's up? I mean, as we talk about the shootings and all the AR-15s and Allen, Texas, and the top supermarket being shot up. Now, what about all this so-called black on black crime? What about the young drill rappers out there who are somebody gonna get shot up tonight at a party probably? What about those aspects of guns? Do we just let that stay as it is, or do we just say, okay, get the AR-15s out of the hands of law-abiding citizens?
At the end of the day, if anyone thinks that criminals or these imbeciles out here are going to not carry guns regardless of what the law is, that's being very myopic and short-sighted as to how to remedy the problem. But at the end of the day, police are not even out here trying to help solve a lot of this because they're feeling betrayed because of the way we start clapping back on them for them murdering us, and then they want to point things back to black on black crime. But blacks have killed blacks for 1,000 years just as much as whites have killed whites, Spanish kill Hispanics, Chinese kill Chinese. You have to just simply keep things in its perspective. Let's just try to fix what we can fix, because the one thing we got to, we're at the point now, it don't matter where you go. And and the people that are getting killed out here are everybody. And Daryl Washington made that point earlier part of the last week that most of the people that were killed were immigrants, and that I think the only white person of anyone that got killed was the security guard. But this is not even about race. Let's just call this an American problem, not a race problem, because all of those things kind of fall in line. Well, let's take care of America first, And let's let's just stop with the where they're happening at. Chicago is just as bad as anywhere else. I mean, I don't have to go to Chicago and get shot. Heck, I go out to the bus stop and get shot. Because that's happened. And people have complained about, why am I carrying a gun? I'm like, well, why are you not carrying a gun? I have to wear Kevlar, looking like a turtle half the time, and it's 90 degrees out there. So,
your situation where you at the bus stop. I think we've talked about this before. Where you was at the bus stop and so you thought somebody shot at you, or do you think that was a random shot, or do you think that was aimed at you?
At first, I thought it was random until my neighbor showed me the bullet hole on the cross beam on his fence that was right directly in the line of where I was standing and where the person was shooting at. And when I did call the police about it, they said, well, we don't know nothing about it. The bus got cameras on there. Why couldn't they just pull the footage off the cameras on the bus? But those things seem to have mysteriously disappeared.
Yes, indeed.
So I mean, I was believing at the time it was random, but after I saw that bullet hole in that fence, I know better than that now.
All right, author.
But it was about the black on black crime thing. Okay, again, and again, see, that's what they do with us. They go black on black crime. Okay, look, well, first of all, I want to say this: white people kill more. White people kill white people. So we you say at a lower rate or whatever. But you have to understand that white people kill more of other people. They kill more of other people. And see, don't talk about that. That's the other side of black on black crime. White on everybody else. Okay, but they don't talk about that. White people kill more of everybody else than anybody else. They kill more of everybody else than black people do. So but they want to tell you, get you on black crime. And the reason I have black on black crime because the laws were evolved to where if you kill somebody white, you're gonna get twice the punishment or whatever. If you kill somebody white, you kill somebody black, the punishment is less. So that just created a thing where it was just easier to kill or like the hometown I grew up in. We had this hole in the wall, and about every 2 or 3 years somebody get killed in there, but nobody ever went to jail. Nobody ever went to jail. So I'm saying, so that's the system that we're coming out of. So we can't, that's the trope, the black on black. If they were concerned about black on black crime, then they would provide us with the economic development and opportunities that would, do something about that whole, dynamic. But they're not worried about that. They just want to tell you about your morality of black on black crime, but they don't tell you how it got there. They're not offering any help to get to to change it. So to me, when I hear black on black crime, that's just, they might have called me the N-word.
My. Okay, exactly. Well, that's a very interesting point you're making there, Arthur. Reggie, were you about to say something?
No, I was just concurring with Arthur. I just said exactly, yeah.
All right. Well, once again, if you are just now joining us, you are watching the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com, an online gospel radio station originating out of Dallas, Texas. And my name's Robert Ashley. And every Saturday morning, we're here from 10 a.m. Central Standard Time until about 11 Central Standard Time, talking about the issues of the day. With me this morning, the one and only Arthur Fleming, a longtime civil rights leader right here in the Dallas, Texas area, former president of the Dallas chapter of the NAACP. Now, if he wants to tell us about this new position that he may be seeking on the state level, we would love to hear that. And also with us today, Reggie Ruffin, the founder of the Just Cause Coalition there, which is a brand new civil rights organization. We met Reggie several years ago when he was battling the city of Dallas, Texas, over some of his vehicles that, Reggie says somehow or another got hauled away during some road construction there in his neighborhood. And it's been a controversy ever since. And also with us today, the Reverend Melvin Brown, a very distinguished gentleman here. He goes all the way back to Promise Keepers. Some of y'all may remember the movement with regards to Promise Keepers. That's when men were trying to take their Christian responsibility and be the priest of their home. Of course, Bill McCarthy, I do believe, the former coach at the University of Colorado, where primetime Deion Sanders is coaching right now. Reverend Brown was very much involved with that. He's considered to be a biblical scholar. And by the way, look, family, we need your vote. I'm trying to tell you now, at this particular radio station here, The Uplift, we have been nominated for Internet Radio Station of the Year. And family, we need your vote. So please go to the Avidity Awards. That's AVIDTY awards.com and cast your vote for The Uplift. Yes, cast your votes for The Uplift. Now, we're nominated for the Internet Radio Station of the Year, and the one and only Jermaine Simpson, our longtime colleague there, formerly with Health 97, has been nominated for the Internet Radio Announcer of the Year. So once again, go right now to the avidityawards.com and vote for The Uplift. Now, voting will be open between now and June 30th. So once again, we implore you to go and vote for The Uplift. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to get ready now to pause just for a real quick break. Now, when we get back, we got several other issues that we've got to talk about now. Up in New York, it's been big protest demonstrations all week. Daniel Penny, this 24-year-old white Marine, has been charged now with, I think it's second-degree murder in connection with Jordan Neely, the Michael Jackson impersonator, choked him out while he was on the subway, supposedly wreaking havoc. And of course, what's going on with Ukraine, Russia? Are we on the precipice of World War III? And also, the Biden crime family? What are you talking about? Who's accusing the Biden crime family of being a crime family like the Corleone family? What are you talking about here? All right, we're going to pause for a quick break, and we'll be back with more right after this. Jordan Neely. Charges too lenient.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-824-4596. 800-824-4596. 800-824-4596. That's 800-824-4596.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. That's 800-239-0201.
Your source for your favorite gospel music. It's all right here on The Uplift. Right here on The Uplift.
Dallas, Texas. And once again, we welcome you back to www.theupliftlive.com. I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you once again for being with us right here at www.theupliftlive.com. Working on some technology here. We've had some technical difficulties this morning with regards to our tablets and all that kind of thing, but we're working it out. here this morning. And once again, we've been talking with Reggie Ruffin of the Just Cause Coalition, and of course, the Reverend Melvin Brown is with us, along with Arthur Fleming, longtime civil rights activist right here within our community. All right, well, once again, we have been talking about the Jordan Neely situation here. Once we can get our technical situation worked out here. And once again, Arthur Fleming is indeed back with us. So Arthur, Reverend Brown, Reggie, can y'all hear me pretty good? Y'all can hear me, man? Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay, because I got two tablets here and these things are cutting up this morning. I'm just going to have to go out and invest in some more technology. But the situation involving Jordan Neely, we saw this 24-year-old Marine who was indeed charged just this week. His name was Daniel Penny, charged with second-degree murder in the death of Jordan Neely. Starting with you, Reggie, but what do you think about the charges facing Daniel Penny, this 24-year-old Marine who said he didn't mean to kill Jordan Neely? But Jordan is dead. His family says they are upset because they felt it should be first-degree murder charges.
Yeah, I believe the actual charge was second-degree manslaughter, and that just leaves the door open for a plea deal to come down where it can get lowered to involuntary manslaughter. Because, like, we talked about it last week, that's what I believe the end result is going to become on this. But the fact, we don't know the rest of the facts and everything because, of course, they got video of everything that was going on the train, and they have not really dissected a whole lot of this and made it public. So, this thing could turn to any type of ways and any time. But I believe that, the charge was fair and everything was, that's part is going down, but it's a long way before this thing gets resolved. But New York is very notorious for surprise indictments, surprise decisions, surprise outcomes. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens on this.
All right, some of your thoughts, Arthur?
Well, you hear somebody. One of the things where they say, well, where he was threatening people, and I like to quote Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "I've never known a man to die of threats." So threat is no reason to kill somebody.
Yes, okay.
He wasn't finna kill anybody on the train. So for them to say, well, he was threatening. Yeah, but he wasn't hitting nobody. Okay, and if you deal with anybody with a mental condition, I happen to have worked in the Terror Safe for about 6 months. One thing you learn is if you're in a public situation, you see somebody with a mental condition. What you should do is if they're not threatening anybody, if they're not physically doing anything to anybody, then you should actually just leave them alone. Just leave them alone. And then or call your mental health expert or something, but you shouldn't go and interact with them and try to get them to understand what you're talking about, because as the pastor said earlier, they're not in a position to do that. So again, he deserved to die like that. And again, a threat won't kill you.
And Reverend Brown, now the opposition is saying this guy had been arrested 44 times. Several times he reportedly, allegedly, and this is what the reports are saying. This is according to the New York Times, New York Post. You can read it for yourself. At 44 times, and in one of these cases, he bashed a 67-year-old woman in the face. And in one of those arrests, he reportedly tried to abduct a child. They also had what they call the 50 worst perpetrators on the subway. He was listed on that list. Now, they said this young man, after his mother died, that's when he really suffered a mental breakdown. That's when he completely unraveled. Because years ago, he was considered to be a Michael Jackson impersonator. People said he made New York proud. But did he put himself in harm's way, or was he just hungry and desperate, and the lack of compassion in our society is what led to this? If somebody had just given him a soda pop, or somebody say, here's a sandwich or something, but people are so cold now, they just leave you standing.
Dr. Ashley, I wanted to bring another dimension to the table experience. I enjoyed working for Promise Keepers, but as you well know, the Promise Keepers organization was a primarily white evangelical organization. I went from Promise Keepers to Prison Fellowship and I think both of my brothers are probably around the same age, but I had the opportunity to work for Chuck Colson. Chuck Colson went to prison for Richard Nixon back in the day.
Yes.
So I worked for him, but I was on the front line as a regional director, having 22 prisons under me. Now, as I worked in that organization, I learned that they wanted us in the front line because they wanted to give the depiction or the display that they're caring about African-American leadership going in the prison. I found out in my experience of going in the prison, we're represented by approximately 80% of the total population. Okay. There's African-American men, women. That's how many people we have behind bars. And some of that is just irregularity. But the issue we're talking about is, we're talking about justice, we're talking about safety, and we're talking about some equilibrium or some balance with how we behave ourselves. So I just wanted to interject that my prison ministry, I went full-fledged. I went to the darkest places all over this country, and I really had a heart of compassion and empathy for people behind bars. We should not give up for our children that are not in prison. We've got to be more proactive, keep our young out of trouble.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
That's where our primary issues are. And so I'd say that for discussion, we can focus on the positive things, because I don't think these killings are going to stop. I think they're going to increase.
Right. Now, also, Reggie, you may remember when Eric Garner was choked out. This white cop by the name of Daniel Pantaleo. Y'all, I don't know if y'all remember that. Choked him out.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, I can't breathe. And Eric Garner's daughter eventually died, but before she died, she accused the Reverend Al Sharpton of trying to sell the family out for money and all that kind of stuff. But how come that cop, Daniel Pantaleo, when he choked out Eric Garner, how come he wasn't charged?
Because he was a cop.
Maybe.
You know, I mean, you know, that falls under qualified immunity. That, you know, it goes under all these other things that they try to employ conveniently to exonerate them for it. But you know, at the end of the day, the young man, whatever was going on that day, you know, they bring up all of these things that he did in the past. What he did in the past still doesn't have no bearing on what happened at that moment. What happened that day? Because I'm still scratching my head that this guy was arrested so many times allegedly and was, you know, he was never convicted of anything, hadn't gone to prison for anything. So I mean, you know, there's a stinky dead cat in the room on that one. I'm just not gonna be sold and believe that all of these things happened prior to this, because it seems like that's a serious case of they were aiding and abetting his situation. Because I mean, but the guy was hungry and was homeless, and you know, I realized that nobody know all that at the time, but you know, like I said, it's just a whole lot of fraud going on this one. I'm just going to wait and see how it plays out.
Well, see, New York have had what they call these woke district attorneys. You had Cyrus Vance Jr. before you had the young man who just recently charged Trump, and there are people in New York who were upset that they just let criminals, they just let them out, and it's a political system. But Arthur, go right ahead, sir.
When you say, remember, and I want to be clear, Robert, when you say woke, you know they mean black, don't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a lot deeper. It's a lot. Because it could be black, it could be gay, it could be Latino, it could be the whole rainbow agenda.
Yeah, but mainly it's black, because, like I told you earlier, we you know, America, we are the symbol of freedom, of actual freedom. You have no more freedoms than the lowest black person. So when they say woke, they're talking about you. That's what they're talking about. Because if they can stop you from getting your rights, then the other people, remember, white people didn't have civil rights before we got them. White folks didn't have voting rights before we got them. They had privileges. Those are privileges. And so that's the power of the African American community, is that we represent real freedom in America. And America won't be free until we are free. So that's what we need to understand for context. Now, the Eric Garner, I would say it kind of shows sort of the progress we made. If that police choke Eric Garner out today, he'd go to jail today. He'd go to jail if he did it today. But
well, you got a different district attorney. Alvin Bragg probably wouldn't allow a cop.
No, it's not a district attorney. It's a different time. A sovereign immunity has taken a couple of hits since then, okay, in the courts. So I'm trying to tell you that no, we're in a different time. So, I mean, we're in a change period. This is what change look like. Change is crazy. America's in a change moment. It's going to turn into something else. And so that's what we need to understand. So right now, everything is crazy, but there is a method to the madness. And there are people right now making moves so they can, so when it all stops, they'll be in this position and in control. So we have to continue to fight for our rights at this moment too, and understand this is a change moment. It's not going to be like this forever. Nothing stays, nothing is forever. And this won't be, this too shall pass. Pastor, ain't that right?
Let's go to see two more quick issues here, gentlemen. Let's see if we can go back to the border, because I think Arthur and I talked about the border a little bit earlier before we had Reggie and Reverend Brown on with us. Now, Reggie, in terms of the border, Title 42 has ended. We have thousands of people who are getting ready to come across the border. And the way it is right now, they're going to come in and they're going to be processed, because that's the way the Constitution reads. If you want to come in and then petition the country for what is it, asylum, because you're running from tyranny and all this kind of stuff. But they're saying that it's going to be at least 10 to 15 years before some of these people will actually go through the process, because the backlog of judges in the immigration court system is so backed up until we just may as well say these people are going to come on in here, legal or not. Now, the African-American community, there is concern, because I've seen Black communities go from black to brown. Starting with you, Reggie, is there a legitimate concern for the Black community to be concerned about gentrification or demographic shift as all these people are coming in, or is that not even a concern? We just should let them blend in, or is there any concern about preserving Black communities in light of this immigrant onslaught that's coming in?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because they're coming in, and the like our neighborhoods now, they are gentrifying these houses. Hispanics are building the houses, then they're moving in, and they're selling the houses for such outrageously high prices, because Hispanics is going to move in. They're going to get jobs all together. They're going to live 5, 10 families deep in these houses and can't afford to pay the rent. Whereas us Blacks, who usually don't live that way, don't live all conjoined like that, it's just going to be a bigger struggle. You're going to be working 3 times as hard just to barely make rent and pay your other bills, not to mention gas, food, insurance, whatever. So this was known as, we're economically being squeezed out. And if we don't get a clue about what we're going to do in the future, we're just going to be pushed out into the irrelevance. So, there's a lot of concerns we need to have, because people aren't getting jobs like they used to anymore, despite these lies they say about there are better jobs now and unemployment is low. Low for who? Because if the unemployment is low, why isn't that money? People are not making money now anymore, much less have money anymore. It's harder.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, now, Reverend Brown, and I'll come to you, Arthur, but Reverend Brown, the whole immigration issue, is that a threat to the Black community? Is this, the border is open, or is it open, or do we have, is there any discussion in the Black community about the impact that immigration, illegal immigration, or just immigration period, have on the Black community? Or do we just, or do these Black politicians just let it happen?
It's a very good subject, Dr. Ashley. Immigration is really a part of our fabric in our country. If you think of all of us, we didn't come from here. Okay, so if we take we want to put up a border, nobody can come in. That's discrediting our own intelligence, because we did not come here. But what we need to do is we need to monitor and we need to manage the process, so families are not broken up, and we're not treating people like they're not human.
All right, Arthur, coming back to you now, Arthur. You're going to have a lot more Democrats, or is the black community, will we lose black neighborhoods, or is this even a concern for the black community?
Well, of course, it's concerned, but let me give you let's have some context. Okay.
Yes.
Back in the 80s, I think some of you are old enough to remember this, when Jesse Jackson went to Mexico and talked to Vicente Fox because they had an official state program organizing people coming over. And Vicente, he made the statement, well, we're just, Hispanics just doing jobs that blacks won't do. And so, Jesse challenged that, that premise. But right after that, what they started doing was they took the trades out the schools, they took the trades out the prisons, right? Because I started off doing construction work, so they took all that out, and then they started bringing them in. So that's a plan. That's a planned program. That's not over here. And it's been going on ever since then. So they've been coming over. They've been getting cheap labor. Pitting them against black folks, saying, okay, well, if you can't work for this, then hey, we just hire them. And like I say, and I've seen the construction. Because I worked it a couple of summers, they have all Hispanic crews. Nobody speaks English. White guy hired them. This guy works them, and that's the way the system is working, and that's the way it's been working. And so I'm just saying that. It's been set up like that structurally, and so now you roll it forward, and they going, oh, all this immigration and how is this happening? Well, when you go down to South America and you destabilize governments, and you destabilize economies down there because you don't like who's going to be the leader, then that's what happened. People start coming up here, and then you say, oh, this, and then it goes to the political soup. Now nobody know what's going on. Now it's like, hey, I hear all them people coming, how they, so I'm just saying we need to understand that this is part of a process. It's part of a planned program that's been going on since the 80s.
Yes, indeed. All right, one other issue, gentlemen. We got about 8 more minutes to go. And once again, you're watching The Review right here on www.theupliftlive.com. Now go to Google Play, go to the Play Store, and download our app. It's called Uplifted Now. That way you can take this 24-hour gospel radio station with you wherever you go. Once again, my name is Robert Ashley. You're watching The Review each and every Saturday morning from 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're here until about 11:30 talking about the issues of the day. Once again, Arthur Fleming, a longtime civil rights activist, with us at this time here, along with Reggie Ruffin, founder of the Just Cause Coalition, and the Reverend Melvin Brown, considered to be a biblical scholar with a history there involving promise keepers and just a lot of great things here. Now, the issue of, did y'all see these Republicans? Now, there was a news blackout this week. ABC News, CBS News, NBC, CNN, MSNBC. Now, Fox News and some of the independent media covered it. There was a group of Republicans who held a news conference, starting with you, Arthur, because I know you keep up with this kind of stuff. You saw those Republicans hold a news conference claiming they have bank records showing that the Biden family has gotten at least $10 million from possibly Romania, Russia, and China. Now, also at the same time, we saw Donald Trump on CNN, and there was a young journalist by the name of Caitlin Collins who really challenged the former president. So as we're looking at this allegation from the Republicans about the Biden crime family, claiming the FBI refused to turn over a document 302, a document suggesting allegations of a Biden crime family. What in the world is going on here, Al?
Well, I like to quote, that Fox, a guy that did the interview. He said, it's been 5 years, and where's the evidence? 5 years. Where's
well, they say the FBI refused. The FBI refused to turn over a document. They said this document that the FBI has refused to turn over may be a smoking gun.
Well, that's what they say. That's performing a Republican.
Well, should the FBI turn it over to a congressional oversight committee?
I would say, do the FBI actually have what they're talking about?
Well, the FBI hadn't denied it.
Because here's the thing. you know good and well, if these people had anything, you know this, they would, it would be out. They would have sneaked it out.
Not if it was Donald Trump. Everything comes out on Trump.
The Fox News, look here, Fox News, you know, they trying to clean up the act a little bit now. They said, it's been 5 years. Where's the evidence? They're refusing to play along with it this time because they know there'll be consequences. So now they're not playing the game with them anymore. That's a political game. You know, Fox and the Republican Party are like conjoined twins. You know that.
Okay, let me ask Reggie, should the FBI turn over this document, this 302 document, that some whistleblower, this is an IRS whistleblower from inside the system saying they got the FBI, huh?
They say.
Well, the whistleblower has come forth.
No, where's he at? I haven't seen him.
If you look, the House Republican Committee, Jim Jordan said they're going to have that person testify. Yep. They just had to go through a court proceeding and have all that done. But let me move on to Reggie and Reverend Brown now. Now, the Biden crime family, is that anything we need to be concerned about, or is that just Trump politics?
The pluckery is real out here on this. Like I said, it's tip for tat. We're accusing Trump of one thing. They're going to accuse Biden, and all this is just foreplay for the upcoming election that's next year. We got all of these variables they're gonna throw together, and we just gonna see which one's gonna stick. Because the way I mean, from my perspective, that's why I keep saying we need a third party that'll break this monotony. Because I'm so sick and tired of Republicans and Democrats. Because it's like, you know, it's I mean, that's all it is. Because at least I can appreciate the Republicans for their ruthlessness and the fact that at least they're honest about how they feel about things. Whereas the Democrats, well, we got too many wolves in sheep's clothing over there on our side of the equation, because, I mean, they're victimizing whoever they want to victimize, and they want to play the game of, what's the word, conflict of interest. Yeah. So I got a problem with both of them.
All right, Reverend Brown, any thoughts about these Democrats, Trump, Biden crime family, Hunter Biden? They got a grandchild. There's controversy about President Biden not even wanting to acknowledge the child that Hunter Biden had with this prostitute, but they're in court over child support payments. Hunter says he can't pay child support payments, but we're not supposed to talk about stuff like that. But Reverend Brown, what is going on with these politicians, Reverend?
Like I said earlier, changed. This country has shifted from democracy, to whatever you want to call it. I can't even come up with a name because we are so off base.
Oligarchy.
Imperialism.
Oligarchy.
We don't even believe in God. I mean, I'm gonna say this on record. Ooh. We say that we believe in God, but everything that we're doing suggests we do not believe in God. And our currency has "in God we trust." And I'm going to say that we're not even close to that. We don't trust God for nothing. Wow. So in light of the fact that these politicians are hiding and lying and swaying from the left to the right, this is not new. This has been going on for years and years. And we as people must demand truth and honesty. Otherwise, we don't need to be voting for that person that's in office.
Well, gentlemen, as we're getting ready to go off, we've got less than a minute to go here. I just want to acknowledge all of the mothers. We got a Mother's Day weekend that's coming up here, and we want to thank God for all of our mothers, and we want to thank God for all the women who are going to be mothers. And of course, we just thank God for women and mothers. And I don't want to get it twisted. I ain't talking about no Mr. Mom or nothing like that. I'm talking specifically about women. And I know what a woman is because I'm married to one. I hope Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, y'all remember when Ketanji Brown Jackson refused during her confirmation process to say what a woman was? Don't y'all know wasn't that a signal to the transgender community that I'll vote when I get on the Supreme Court to say that this man is a woman? Okay, I'll leave all that alone because we don't have enough time for that. But anybody want to say wish their mother a happy Mother's Day?
Well, yes, I definitely love to wish my mother, ML Ruffin Woodruff, happy Mother's Day. I like to wish my sister, Sophia Ruffin, happy Mother's Day, and my daughter, Julia Courtney Regina Ruffin, happy Mother's Day.
Praise God. Author, Reverend Rao?
Dr.
Yeah. Again, I like to wish all the mothers out there, a happy Mother's Day. And my mother's passed, so I'm telling everybody that have a mother, that still have a mother, hey, look, cherish every moment. Even when she make you want to say, but don't do it. Don't do it, and do everything you can for her, so that should you ever be without her, you'll know that you did, that you honored your mother. So that's the main thing, just to honor your mother.
We pray your strength in the Lord there, Arthur. And also, the U.S. put this today. Today is the day that if you want to leave something out on your front of your porch for the mailman, this is the day when they collect food for the homeless. So if you haven't, your mailman's going to be making a run, you want to leave some food out there on the front porch, this is the day that the U.S. Postal Service, and we want to thank them for collecting food for the homeless. Well, I'll tell you what, Arthur, Reggie, and Reverend Brown, we want to thank you once again for being with us right here on The Review on radio station www.theupliftlive.com. And once again, each and every Saturday morning, we're here from 10 Central Standard Time till 11:30 Central Standard Time. And of course, we want to shout out to Skylar Walks. And Skylar, we understand you were under the weather this morning. And also coming up next week, we will have a mental health expert to spend a little time with us as we focus on mental health even more. Look, I'm Reverend Ashley. We love you. Want you to have a blessed day.